Thank you for tuning into this channel. I'm Mike Doles. I hold an ICC Master Code Professional and a host of other certifications. I've been a building inspector and a building official for over 25 years. These series of videos are being shared with you to show some of the items that I've seen over the years that cause a fail on an inspection. So we hope they help you out. We hope that you continue to support and subscribe, please, to this channel. Thank you very much. One sure item that will cause a final inspection to fail in residential construction is not having the assigned address posted per the code. As you can see in this photograph, these numbers blend in with the door color so much that if you can imagine at 50 feet away, you might not even be able to read the numbers. They must be legible and they must be of a contrast. Please review the code carefully for the requirements and make sure that something so easy is not missed that causes you to fail a final inspection. First introduced in the IRC in the 2021 edition and the companion NEC for residential construction, on the exterior of the building, an emergency disconnect must be placed. This emergency disconnect must also have a proper placard in place. During the residential inspection of the meter base, these are some of the key items to be reviewed. All panels are to have proper working space clearances. A main bonding jumper is needed in most main disconnect panels unless otherwise integrated. Equipment grounds and neutrals are to be isolated from one another in the subpanels. All unused openings are to be effectively closed. Service conductors are to be sized properly and identified. All service and feeder conductors are to be terminated and torqued per specifications. And it is recommended that with aluminum conductors that a corrosion inhibitor be applied. There are many requirements for residential chimneys in the International Residential Code. Most of those are covered in Chapter 10 of the IRC, specifically in 1003. Chimneys shall extend not less than 2 feet higher than any portion of a building within 10 feet, but shall not be less than 3 feet above the highest point where the chimney passes through the roof. Both open cell and closed cell spray foam insulation is becoming more and more utilized in the United States in residential construction. There are a couple of caveats to this. If we have an attic area and it only has mechanical equipment that's going to be accessed for service, then the spray foam insulation on its own is fine. If, however, you have an area up there that will be utilized for any other purpose, such as storage, then the spray foam insulation must be separated from the space by a thermal ignition barrier as specified in the code. Also, if you have open or closed cell spray foam insulation and it is not provided with a thermal barrier, then you may be able to just post a sign saying no storage. Again, this is up to the local authority having jurisdiction. A lot of jurisdictions don't accept the sign because they all know what's going to happen after the homeowner takes possession of the house. The International Residential Code and the companion energy codes require that you maintain the R value of the ceiling space. If you have one of these disappearing stairs that go to the attic space in a heated or conditioned area of the building, then you must maintain that rating. Now, in the picture you see here, they created a blanket type barrier, which provides the insulation. You can also buy in certain areas, depending on where you are, a stairway that already has insulation there. This is something that will be checked by the inspector on the final inspection, and it is an item that is often overlooked. I had a townhouse subdivision where after about the third time I saw this, I just started going straight to the garbage disposal, and if this wasn't correct, I just turned it down and left. What we have here is two different issues just right off the bat. What you can see, number one is the NM cable is not protected going into the device, which is a disposal, right? But also we have the Romex or the NM cable that's not protected under the cabinet. Remember, NM cable is for concealed spaces. Once we come out and we're inside that cabinet, we must protect that NM cable. A switch is required to control the lighting outlets that are required in every habitable room of residential construction. This will also include bathrooms, hallways, stairways, the attached garage, and storage areas. And then if you have appliances in the attics or the crawl space, you have to have a switch that controls the light. This includes basements and each exterior grade exit. A crawl space light, by the way, also must be protected by GFCI protection as required in the 2021 IRC Section E3902.15. On a residential structure recently, we had vandalism done to the panel, and what someone had done is they'd taken bolt cutters, it appeared, went through and cut all of the conductors coming into the panel at the top, about 1.5 inches into the box, and removed what copper wiring there was down to the breakers. They took all the breakers and the wiring. Now the breakers were, of course, there was value there, but as far as the copper, there was no value there. So it was sabotaged, and we assumed it was probably by a disgruntled employee. When I saw all the wire nuts that the contractor used to put everything back together, I turned it down. And I just said, well, we're overfilling box and we can't have wire nuts in the panel. Well, I was wrong. As we go back and look in the code, again, code is minimum. You can do this. It's not pretty. We actually did the box fill calculation. There was room for a lot more to go on inside this box. So it is permitted. It's not very attractive. It could have been done in a little bit neater manner, in a more professional manner, I do believe. But it is permitted to have splices inside the electric panel. Refer to the code. In residential construction, a receptacle is required within 6 feet of the doorway. Then receptacle spacing is required every 12 feet. Imagine, if you will, a lamp with a 6-foot cord. You need to be able to set that lamp at any point along the wallway and be able to plug it in. Also keep in mind, any wall space that is greater than 2 feet requires a receptacle. This issue also comes into play when we start discussing these large patio slider type doors that'll have glazing. The glazing area can be considered as wall space. Therefore, quite often, to meet the requirements, you may have to put in a floor box. So this is something to be considered. Also, one receptacle is required to serve a hall of 10 feet or more. So that concludes this video. We've got a whole host of other videos. I ask you to go to the site and look over them. There's quite a few there for you to learn from. Please like and subscribe. We need to go over all this with you as much as we can, and let's try to avoid unnecessary failed inspections on the site, and that saves everybody time and money and a little bit of aggravation.